Well, this is going to be a World Championship standard attempt, and it's going to be a big one, Adam. This is one of the marquee events of the evening, and we know that the conditions are favorable for fast times. That is what every athlete's going to want, especially Max Davies and Foster Malek. Those two in contention right now for a World Championship qualifying spot in the quota, in the rankings. And they are going after that standard tonight, World Championship standard, 3:33.00. That is a huge ask of any athlete. But of course, Davies coming off that Canadian Championship win. Malek silver to the gold of Davies. Those two have lots to fight for here tonight.
And here's Thomas Laviolette, Xavier Perez-Fanouf, Samuel Hepworth, Simone Berube, Pierce Sain, Nato Katayama, Emile Topin, Andre Ali Lamarche, Robin Lefebvre, Billy Hay, Charlie Donat, Yusuke Takahashi, Matthew Baudet, Max Davies, Foster Malek, and the Pacers, Hazim Miawad and Aaron All.
We did just see Aaron All in that steeplechase, so he's coming back for a very quick double duty here. But we saw Miawad earlier this evening as well. But both of these athletes have done quite a bit of pacing for the Canadian circuit. They know how to get it done. They know how to lock into a good tempo, and they know exactly what is at stake here as Davies, the reigning Canadian champion, makes his way to the front of the race proper. That's Malek immediately to his outside. They are going to try to go through 800 meters in 1:54, and that would put them right at 3:33.7. So they're going to have to go through in that time or faster and then keep things rolling. So they're looking for about 57 seconds through the opening lap. And Miawad doing a good job of getting himself up front there. It's going to maybe be just a hair slow of what they're looking for. 57 high, 58 low. So they've got to keep the foot on the gas here. These opening laps make all the difference. You see Aaron All just, I think, getting a little bit antsy on the shoulder of Miawad and encouraging him to keep ticking along at a quick tempo. Max Davies, of course, coming off of not only a win at the Canadian Championships, but a gigantic new Canadian U23 record of 3:35.04. That was at the Jerome Classic, and that broke a former Canadian best of Graham Hood that had stood for over 33 years. Davies at the top of his game at this point. And you can see him just getting almost impatient and nipping at the heels of his pacers there, Adam.
All is the pacer in the blue. Miawad out front, and Miawad's going to move into lane 2 now, so he's going to stop. So it's going to be All now taking them through the next little bit. He's picking up the pace of the back end.
And that's exactly what he needs to do, Adam. He's now stringing things out. They were 154 high, 155 low through 800 meters. They needed to be 154 flat, and I know it sounds a bit overly precise, but they are going to have to keep winding things up at the toughest part of this race with 600 meters to go. Our second pacer is now off. All is gone, and it is Max Davies, the Canadian champion, leading his silver medalist from that race last week in second, and it is those two gunning for this really speedy 3:33 flat time. They have to be so bold now as they hit the bell in 2:38 on the clock with 1 lap to go.
That is Topin also up there with Malek and Davies. And a look back there from Davies. And now he is really trying to wind things up on the back straightaway. Malek is right there with him. And now it will be Malek moving into the lead. Remember, 3:33 flat is what they're looking for. Malek now pulling away from Davies as they come out of the turn. Malek powering through. 3:33. That's in his sights. That is the World Championship standard. And, oh, it is close. That is unofficial. We will wait and see. But Malik may have done enough there.
What a run by Foster Malik. That was extraordinary over those last 200 meters. And I got to tell you, I feel good about that time, Adam. That was a phenomenal performance. The arm goes up, and it is official. Foster Malik, you have qualified for the World Championships in the 1,500 meter, 3:32.38. That is an enormous performance, and that is the second fastest time in Canadian history, second only to the national record holder, Kevin Sullivan, of 3:31.71, set back in the year 2000. This was history-making tonight in Montreal. Max Davies, you can see the strain on his face with a lap to go. He worked so hard, and I really hope that Foster Malik gives a big high five and maybe buys a pint or two for the Guelph athlete who ends up in second, because without him, that race might not have kept at the tempo it did. And that opened the door for this phenomenal final lap here. 3:32. And that means that he closed unofficially in 52 seconds there for that last lap. But what a performance. It was hard from the gun. And he is rewarded with a World Championship qualifying time, and again, the second fastest time in Canadian history. Previous to this, the second fastest time was held by Charles Philibert Thibodeau at 3:32.94. That was set 2 years ago. I remember watching that race. It was set in France. It was a phenomenal performance then. It still is, but 3:32.38. This is getting us ever closer to that Canadian record set back in 2000 by Kevin Sullivan.
So Foster Malik joins Kieran Lum as the two Canadians.